Welcome back to Calling the Audible.
I wasn't sure if you were leading or if I was leading, to be honest.
Yeah, and me neither, but I went for it. I went for it
job.
immediately before you could jump in, and then there was utter chaos.
But how do we know if they're watching or listening to Calling the Audible?
You never know. You never know. But it's always, what you do know is that it's probably someone's first time, but probably doesn't mean you absolutely do know. I am Iggy Magnets. This is, who the hell is this guy? Who are you?
Baby. I'm Peace.
You're back,
How's it going?
baby. You're back, baby. Are you baby back?
Always. In the rib variety. It's been, what is it? I took 2 seasons off from the show. I made a brief appearance last season.
One.
Just fall? No, I wasn't. I didn't fall and
Just
winter.
winter.
Fall
You didn't
winter.
do fall?
No. No,
Yes,
that's when my child was born.
Yes.
This is my paternity leave. I'm Peace. I've been on the podcast before, and now I'm back.
And you may notice if you are viewing, I have a black eye. Thanks, Peas, for the black eye, by the way.
You're welcome. You had it coming. If you walked into a door.
Or I walked into like a fridge of a person and they drove right into me in a charity tournament nonetheless.
Listen, the result was charity. The games were not charity. So someone went at you as hard as they felt you deserved.
As hard as they felt for a charity tournament, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus Christ.
No charity in the results.
So, same format. We're going to be talking, of course, the week that was in FPF. We conclude actually tonight, Thursday night, with the games in Laval. We conclude week 3. Of course, Peas, the uniform protocol has gone into effect. Your absolute favorite. What does that mean?
It means that ideally you have all the same shade, otherwise you're penalized. The rule is brought to you by Sportera.
Yes. So having colors of the same, having the same colored jersey, same shade of color, and of course having a legitimate number, not a markered or tape number. That was okay for weeks 1 and 2 while you got your jerseys all set up. But really, the basis for any league. Sports league out there, you need a legitimate number. So whether it's
we all play
for
stats. We all play for stats, and you won't get your stats if you don't have a number. And more importantly, you won't get the games played. So on top of not getting stats, you risk not being able to play in the playoffs, right? So that's a big deal.
Because how many games do you need for playoffs, Peas?
5.
It's always half the season. Why are you questioning?
Because isn't winter 6?
No, winter's 5.
It used to be. It used to be 6 in winter and 5 in summer. That's why.
Not since I've been playing since like winter 2018. So no.
Yeah, well, I know. I'm just saying it used to be, and I don't know if it changed because I haven't been around.
Yeah. So no, you need 5 games played to be playoff eligible. So of course, get your uniforms in check if you want your stats and your games played. Pictures. Some of you still don't have your. Are 85% done, but
nobody cares about how many teams
Mo and I
done.
care. Yeah, I know, I know. But that just means that the 15% left look good for your games. Go to your games well groomed if you don't yet have a team picture.
Yeah, if from now and again you hear me talking to the production team, it's because I've not yet used to the new setup. So I apologize for reacting to the production on the show. Sorry about that.
Thank you for watching the shows, because Peas, if you would be watching, we do it every week.
No, I know. I'm not used to hearing the producer in my ear without because usually Eagle, when you'd hear him, we just talk on the show, right?
Right.
And we're all in the same
one
room.
way.
Yeah,
it's one way. Yes.
Now we have that, which is a nice tool. Thanks, Omar, for the feedback. It's cool, of course, to get your pictures done. I know there's one team specifically where they're forced to take a team picture with pennies, and they'll be demanding a retake.
That's fine.
As soon as we play a game where we don't wear pennies, because we're 0-for-3 somehow to start the season.
No, you're not. You're 1 and 2.
No. I'm saying that we show up and have to wear pennies 3 times. Three times, 3 games, 3 pennies. So
That's interesting. But no, seriously though, if you do want your picture, your team picture retaken, just simply ask your scorekeeper at the field. That will not be a problem either before your game or at halftime. Your team pick can be retaken.
yeah, for sure.
All right, Peace. We're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna go into the realm of Division E, one of the divisions that you've in the past written articles for this
It's
year.
my favorite one to cover, and I also find it the most difficult because you don't know a lot until about halfway through the season when you start to decipher who's good, who's weak, who's the familiar teams are always tricky because like if they haven't moved up, is it because they don't have the pieces or that they not yet learned what it takes to succeed in FPF? So, or did they add a piece or two to get them over the hump? That's kind of the base storylines that you always get in Division E. But what's cool about it is that because there's always so many new teams, so many new faces, and so many teams do move up, you end up in a great situation where you have sort of the same conceptual storyline, but new characters, new players. It's like a Fast and Furious movie. It's
Of course.
ideally the same, but with new faces. So like some people don't move up; they're Vin Diesel of the division. Some people they're new into the fold. Halfway through we get The Rock, and so on and so forth. So it's like the Fast and Furious franchise. It's exactly like that in every possible way. So we'll see who the Tokyo Drift is of the division. By that I mean the champion, because I actually love Tokyo Drift. But whatever, I'm the only one.
So you mentioned a few teams that have been, have returned in Division E, at least from the winter season, Division 6. One of those teams, Chamonix Shodes, Peas. You're happy to see them back here.
I was
you
surprised.
you kind of think, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
That you think they have a backyard style of football play that didn't necessarily work in their last game.
So I was surprised to see them when I arrived at the field this week. I had a short talk after a game last season with Jonathan Bottazi, and he was telling me that he didn't know if the guys would be able to play in spring, and so it's cool to actually see. I was like, I just showed up. Hadn't yet prepared for the show because it was still early in the week. Walked in, I was like, oh, they're playing, and then got to see them a little bit. I remember when I played against them last season, they never huddled, and it's not because they run a sophisticated style of no huddle. It's just get open. And on defense, they just played man the entire time. And I was warming up, so I didn't get to see the game necessarily as closely as I would have liked. But I did get to catch a little bit of it. And it looked like what I remember from them. The positives are they're all a group of friends that go back a long time. The Bottazi brothers, of course, quarterback, receiver. And what they do have, which works exceptionally well in their favor, is their chemistry. And they just have a really good knack of understanding where to be, how to open up for the quarterback, when to keep moving, and when to sort of sit back and let the quarterback find them with in Matthew Bottazi. But what happens is, well, kind of what you saw in this game, where Jonathan Bottazi gets 6 targets, Brock Zwicker gets 5 targets, and that kind of is the offense, right? Like they have 9 of the 14 completions, and on the other side, Toon Squad are a bit more experienced. They rely kind of on their defense, Jeremy Steinberg getting the 3 sacks, and also the big play ability with Charles Presser at the quarterback position, and that's kind of what we saw.
Yeah, I mean, getting 4 TDs on 9 completions, so passes are for touchdowns, right?
Yeah, some with some broken tackles,
shows
but
you.
like it's we've all seen the Toon Squad. We know what it is. I wouldn't call them a particularly methodical team. They're explosive. They have athletes. They know what they have. And conversely to Chamonix Chodes, who are still sort of developing a system. I don't even really know how sophisticated that system is. I do want to talk a little bit about that a little later on in Division E in terms of what we can do to help teams like Chamonix Chodes and teams that are even less successful than they are, because Chamonix has actually been, I keep saying Chamonix, it's just the ch sounds, the alliteration. The Chamonix Chodes have seen some success both last season and this season, but I do want to talk a little bit about how we can help some teams, as we always do early in the season for Division E. But yeah, so just to say that it's kind of opposite in that Toon Squad have developed over time, and they're one of those teams that's sticking around and they're kind of turning the corner, whereas Shamedy are new. Or Chomedy,
Yeah.
as I was saying for the first half of the segment.
I
For no
don't
reason.
understand where
Listen, man.
chomedy. I don't know. They're a
It's-
chopped up chomedy like comedy.
dude,
I don't know.
my
I don't know
dude,
what's going on.
Again, I'm rusty. I'm shaking off the rust at the quarterback
can-
position. I'm shaking off the rust on the show. It's been tough.
Yeah, one of those you bring up teams that are gonna need some help and some assistance. Just quickly, it's not necessarily on the script, but OPN is gonna be one of those teams. You struggled to say the least, losing 63-0 last night or Wednesday night in Lao. So there was a little shout out that Equestrian Club or the Stables won it. So here's your 5 seconds of fame. But seriously, there's going to be some teams that need some help, and feel free to reach out. Pease is one of those contacts. I'm one of those contacts. Even Mo Khan, as he claims he knows how to play defense in FPF.
No,
So
he does. Message Eagle for defense. But in all honesty, jokes aside, one of the things that I've done in the past is I used to write an article now and again. It was called Pease's Playbook, and I would break down plays and how to run them. For anyone who's seen me play, it's disorienting because I have no arm and I throw for 1 billion yards and a lot of touchdowns, and it works. And I always say this. I say these plays can work for anyone because I am literally anyone. I have no special talents. I just know how to run a specific set of plays, and they're effective, and they work at all levels of FPF. And the proof is the two people on this podcast, because Iggy is now a Division A quarterback running these concepts. So, I mean, look, it's as simple as it is, man. If you understand the game, it makes it easier. I will be combining all those previous articles with the graphics and putting them into a singular article. So, Division E, do look out for that. And you know what? Try the plays, continue trying them. You'll get better at running them over time. Iggy, I tried your convert play this past week. I didn't convert any times, but I saw what the openings were. And I'm going to continue to run those plays. So basically, over time, I expect to be better at running that play.
it's only normal, and you said it for the viewers and the listeners. You need to the reps are the most important things. Yeah. It's like anything else. Just driving for the first time is very mechanical and robust, but as you practice it more and more, you understand what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and just building off repetitions is one of the most important things. So one of the keys that we tell teams is, even though you're a struggling QB, perhaps stay in on those last drives, right? Don't switch quarterbacks. Stay in the game. Get those extra reps. Those are actually probably the more valuable reps, because the other teams probably not trying as hard anymore, and the spacing concepts are a little easier to see. So it's really important for you to stick at it, even though it is, and we know it is. It's a very difficult position, the quarterback one that is.
The other thing to keep in mind is that we see a lot of teams change quarterbacks continuously, especially in Division E. I get it, especially when you're not sure who your quarterback's going to be. But when you make that decision of okay, we decided Iggy is going to be our quarterback, for example, no matter what happens, stick with him, give him the reps. That's the only way he'll get better.
Yeah, exactly. One of those teams he's played quarterback before, but it's his first full season at quarterback. It's John, Michael, and Fozzie for CTE Goons. They played on Wednesday night in Laval, losing in heartbreaking fashion. Yet they did look much better than they did in week 1. So they have improved week over week here. But you were taking a look at that box score, Pease, and there was the game was within reach with about 7 plays remaining.
7 plays to get the ball back. That should be a win, right, Iggy?
Oh yeah, it should be, but it's Division E.
I know for sure. When you're starting, that's normal. But as you get when you look back at this game in the future, when you're more developed in your FPF career, you're gonna be like, yeah, that was a win. I let that one get away. And what it is like they were marching on the field. They were based on the score sheet. They were at about the 11-yard line. Then Anfazi takes a sack to Mansour, and so Dominic Mansour. That's it. And they go from about the 11-yard line to midfield. Obviously, much more difficult. And then I don't know the sequence of plays, but to not gain any yards on third, and now you have fourth in midfield. That's tough. Like third down, you want to be able to essentially either hit the end zone, give yourself an option to hit the end zone, and if that's not there, get yards to get yourself within striking range where you have concepts that you can run and you have a little bit of time to get through your reads, because when you're at half field, your receivers basically just have time to get to the end zone, and you're throwing up a jump ball. Like that's the best case scenario.
Yeah, exactly. So some learning lessons there for CTE goons. I caught a little bit because I was at the fields. Roy Khalil looking better at QB. Division 6 last year with flag dealers, a bit of a struggle. Of course, heavily relying on, and I would too if I was in that position, on Nirosh Suresh, getting six receptions, 10 targets for 88 yards.
Nirosh, I'd love to rely on you anytime. So if you want to hook up, let me know when you want to play receiver on one of my teams. Absolutely. No, for sure. Dude's amazing. Like he's a legit, let's say mid to upper mid division number one receiver. Like, so to see him in Division E, yeah, it makes sense. You're going to lean on the guy who's the best player on your team. That's absolutely fine.
And there was also, just because, like, I've never seen this happen. I've seen a lot. This was the weirdest thing. So a deep ball that the safety bats away, and the receiver's not going towards the safety. He's still running his fly downfield, and the bat down is going backwards, so going towards the end zone, and, well, the scoring end zone for the offense. And the ball lands directly in the hands of the receiver still running a go. It was the strangest, absolute weirdest
Just like
thing.
they drew it up, Iggy. Just like they drew it up.
Exactly. Just go, run a go, keep running. Let the safety bat it into your arms and walk it in for a touchdown. So that was a bit of the CTE Goons flag dealers game. And then to wrap it up here for Division EP.
Are they goons that have CTE, or are they goons because they cause CTE?
I'm gonna go with half the team are goons that provide the CTE. The other ones are now goon-ish because they have CTE.
So did they give it to each other?
Maybe the offense playing against the defense in preseason, right?
Unprotected football, unprotected sex, both absolutely dangerous. So I can see it.
And that's just a little bit of the comedy that you'll get here at CTA with Peas alongside
I take
here.
this very seriously. This is a cathedral to me, Iggy. This is a cathedral.
Wrapping it up here in Division EPs, Vice City, the latest team to take it to Sweet Bonanza.
Great name, by the way. I don't know what Sweet Bonanza means, but I love the way it feels when I say it.
Yes, I feel the same way about that. Yeah, just Sweet Bonanza. Yeah. Now, what does that tell us about Vice City here? They're sitting at 1-1, but was this a gauge of their talent, or perhaps an indicator of Sweet Bonanza that they're going to be in it for a rough season here in Division E?
Yeah. So it's obviously been tough going so far. So what makes me curious is sort of the first part of that question is like, is Vice City, what does this mean for them? Because they're only 1-1. They've only played 2 games. They lost the first one. This time around, just taking it to Sweet Bonanza. But Sweet Bonanza's they've been getting beat up on so far this season. So hopefully when we can start to share some plays and they can ask around to get some help on how to play defense in FPF. By the way, the hardest thing to learn is how to play defense in FPF. So don't worry that you're allowing a lot of points. That's everyone when they first start. And also my co-ed team. But the thing is that you do want to keep in mind that like that will improve over time. Offense is easier to implement. You just need to sort of understand what you're looking for. So hopefully, Sweet Bonanza could start to integrate that. But like, what do you think? Looking at these two teams, Iggy, what can be Like, what is it more the case of? That Sweet Bonanza is just they're in for just an absolute, tough season, or is this Vice City actually figuring stuff out after a tough outing their first game?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a tough outing for in their first game for Vice
Well, they
City.
didn't get rocked or anything, but yeah.
No, but they played a Step Brothers team who was playing in Division 5B, I believe, in the winter, coming down into Division E, and they lose 38-32. So for me, they put up a good fight against a team that was, getting rocked a little bit in Division 5B and coming down to Division E. I see a lot of experienced players coming here for Vice City. Etienne Pelletier, Frédéric Faneuf, Laurent Philippe Saint-Onge. And the quarterback play has been good, right? Xavier Faubert Didier, first-time quarterback in FPF, if I'm not mistaken. 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 400 yards. That's 200 yards each game. That's pretty damn good for a starting QB in Division E. So for me, it's more that Vice City has the pieces and the tools and the understanding and the quarterback. You know how important that is to have that. Once you have the quarterback, you put up 32 and 49 in your first 2 games. So for me, this is Vice City being a good team in Division E. And Sweet Bonanza, I'm not too worried. I'm probably worried a bit more on the defensive side of the ball. You're letting up 49 to, again, like I said, a good team in Vice City. But then you're also letting up 32 to Bloodline. Bloodline's not necessarily the best of teams out there in Division E. A returning team, so they understand the concepts a bit better now. But still, you have, I believe it's Antoine Caron at quarterback. He's played with Air Force One as a receiver, perhaps even snapper a few times. He understands. He's going to understand the concepts and the plays, and it's just the defense. Letting up 49, you're asking him to score 50 in your first FPF, time suiting up at QB. That's a tall ask. 9 TDs in 3 games. Okay enough for Division E. 7 interceptions,
and also, like, when I see the 2 key stats that I see, Iggy, is 42.6% completion percentage. That's far too low. 60% is kind of where you want to aim for, and the 13 yards per pass, which means, to me, he's probably taking too many chances, and that's why he's thrown so many interceptions. Honestly, take what the defense gives you. Yeah. Take the chances absolutely when they're there, and you'll see the touchdowns rise, the interceptions fall, and the completion percentage rise, and happier receivers, because right now 26 completions in 3 games, man, you're barely cracking double digits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're not even cracking double digits in average, but I'm saying like in some of these games you're not even you're barely cracking double digits. So
7, 12, and 7.
Yeah. So seven completions for a game is a long game. So
yeah.
Hopefully, they can look. They got some speed. They have some ability. It's just a question of will they be able to learn a system that allows them to sort of move the ball more efficiently. Because right now the biggest issue they have is efficiency and also defense. But on offense, their efficiency is the problem.
You mentioned in your co-ed teams letting up a lot of points. Speaking of defenses,
transition.
So let's go right there into co-ed. Thank you, Peace. Co-ed 1.
Well, I have to make it as awkward as possible.
Yeah, of course you. That's the P's nature, is just make things awkward.
It's a show about a show.
Yeah, if you didn't know, now you know.
Now you know.
We'll start with co-ed 1.
Mm-hmm.
In co-ed 1 last night, very interesting matchup, Peas. Les Porcinets were sitting at 0-3, not having Chris Vero at receiver for the team, injured in playing in a Joliette league, playing against Pass Whoopin, who was sitting at 1-1, looking to make a name for themselves in co-ed 1 after getting the co-ed 2 title in the winter. Les Porcinets absolutely needed this win. And with 3 minutes or so remaining in the game, 2.5 or so, they find themselves 10 points. All didn't look, or it looked very bleak for Les Porcinets. Of course, when you have Pat Jerome subbing for you, nothing's impossible.
I was gonna say, sure they don't have Chavarot, which, by the way, obviously big loss because he's amazing.
Yeah.
But you're replacing an amazing player with a legend, and especially one who has that experience with Tam Veldeth with all those years with Terror Squad. It's gonna make a difference, right? And he had a monster game, the one touchdown, but the 117 yards because he's not guardable by anyone anyone in FPF.
Yeah, he's not.
So that's what that comes down to,
So find themselves down 10 points, get a touchdown. It was a very amicable game, and there was a lot of, early flag pulls, late flag pulls, a little holding, but all in good fun between the two teams. But they find themselves scoring a touchdown late, opting to go for one when the 5 plays have been whistled. Then Tam hears the 5 plays and is like, whoa, wait, there's 5 plays remaining? No, we're going for the onside. So clearly not really having a grasp on the time management aspect here.
So I guess they took a timeout and then got to
Well,
convert?
yes.
The onside convert?
No, they went for onside instead.
Yeah, but I'm saying once you change your mind, aren't you supposed to be charged a timeout?
It was within it was enough time that even though the cone was officially down, it's enough time to that even the fact that you're taking a timeout for the onside, it only uses one timeout.
Okay.
So they go for it, and obviously everyone's like, okay, well, ball's going to Pat Jerome. Doesn't go to Pat Jerome. Mathilde Sibyl, I believe, converts the onside. Chris is on the sideline saying, "I can't believe it. Why am I here? And not again. I can't do anything. I feel so helpless. I feel so powerless." And of course, with on the last play of the game from the 1 yard line, again, everyone's thinking ball's going to Pat Jerome, and no, goes to the snapper for a 1 yard touchdown. Victory, very much needed victory for Les Porcinets. Because they
played 3 games. Sorry, they played 4 games. So
4 games, yes.
1 and 2 feels drastically different than 1 and 3. You know what I mean?
Sorry, 0 and 4.
0 and 4 feels drastically different than 0 and 3 is what I meant to say.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, I wouldn't say season saving, but definitely righting the ship at the right time at sort of a nexus point for their season. And I like the way you described Chris. Sounds like the most Chris. I saw it in my mind when you described Chris Rive on the sideline, because the dude, Chris Rive is amazing. He's finally getting, I think, the credit he deserves in FPF. But aside from the amazing work he does for us, just as a quarterback, he's finally getting the credit he deserves. And the thing about him I always appreciated is, at a poker table, the tall stack bully. When he has a lead, he's relentless and. This is the benefit of the onside kick rule, though, right? Because it's like, okay, cool. We gave up the score, get the ball back. No, we don't. And now the guy who's known for just bludgeoning teams when he has a lead doesn't get the opportunity to close the game out. And there we go.
The onside, I love it. It made that game meaningful because with 5 or 4 minutes remaining, the pass whooping scores. They're up 10. They decide to go for 2 to make it a 12-point lead, right? A 2-touchdown lead, which would have tied the game in this case. So that 2 becomes a critical play, not hitting the 2-point convert. That game is over without the onside kick, right? You're up 10 with 3.5 minutes left. The Porcinet would have had to have scored before the 5 plays, which is doable with 3 minutes left. But anyways, all to say that it makes the game so much more interesting. The onside has been one of the best things that the league has done to keep games tight, especially late.
Absolutely agree.
So, Peas, in Coed 1, with only one team not making playoffs, which team with 2 or more losses, in your eyes, is a shoo-in for the playoffs? So you have Pass Whippin now sitting with 2 losses. Kiss My End Zone.
That question took so many different turns. I thought it was which team is not gonna. It's no. Which of these teams? Also, they have to have 2 losses. Also, they're definitely gonna make the playoffs.
Exactly. I'm making you take left turns, right turns, and then going straight for the go.
Well, I think Vultures will be that team. Look, they are 0-2. I get that, but at the same time, there's no doubt about the talent on the team. And Ben McMahon has gotten off to slow starts in the past. The first game was against IG team, great. Like that's a tough way to start your season.
They're 3-0.
Then they go up against Easy Fun, which is again tough matchup, but they lose that game by a single point.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think the fact that they are already running with one of the top dogs shows me that they're gonna be better sooner than later. You know,
Are they a shoe-in though for the playoffs?
Yes, absolutely. I think, like, dude, you have James Drysdale, Kevin Donnett, Geraldine, Gigi Caballo Abante, and Chantal Chippy Brown. Like, that's a lot of just speed, talent, hands, like a bit of everything on the team. So like, I don't know. I think it's a well-built team. I think Ben McMahon is one of the smartest quarterbacks and one of the most interesting quarterbacks in terms of his skill set, his ability to just absolutely launch a ball, but also take off and have such a low center of gravity, difficult to deflag. I've had so many battles with Ben, and he's a menace. Like when you're the opposing quarterback, he is stress. He is just bringing stress to you constantly by existing. So look at Vultures, I think, to be an absolute lock to make the playoffs.
So let me see if this changes your mind here, Pete.
Give me
one of the storylines in all of FPF right now is that James Drysdale is a question mark for all his teams. We're not really sure if he's going to be playing the remainder of the season. There's a lot of doubts, a lot of questions, a lot of ambiguity.
He's going to be abducted by aliens, or is
no? It's just the word on the street. The word on the street is he's not necessarily certain to be, full time on any of his rosters.
Who's your source?
Vultures. James Drysdale.
I figured. I thought so.
Or Ben McMahon. So. Anyways, look, they're looking at options to
I would imagine because of
to
vacation
replace
or whatnot. I would imagine because of vacations or whatnot. Okay, well, here's the thing. I don't think that's a big deal. The worst thing, especially in co-ed, is when you have a productive player with a low cap hit. That's hard to replace. But when you have to replace one of your top end players, as much as it sucks, and especially a guy who has such a great connection with a quarterback Ben McMahon, the difference really is now that you have all this cap room, you can go through Division A, Division B, like look at some of the top players and find a replacement. And the female players on this team are stellar.
Yes.
The quarterback play is absolute top level. Like Ben's in the top 15 of FPF?
Yeah.
Ish.
For
like
sure.
I don't know, you want to argue 12, you want to argue 18. Yeah. Like it's in that you're splitting hairs at that point, right? Yeah. So like I mean that alone is enough to get them to be successful. And then again, he has great chemistry with people like Philip Roberts, like Kevin Donnett as well. So they have a bit of everything. They have production from like someone like Jamie McRae at a low cap hit, Emma Townsend-Aslane. Like they have people at the top end, but they also have production from the lowest rated players. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of everything, and that's what I think makes them. They're not a team anyone's gonna love to see in the first round of playoffs.
Oh, absolutely, for sure not.
And no one is, by the way. This is a really fun division in FPF this season.
Yeah, yes, yeah, absolutely. And one of the players that you mentioned on co-ed, is Chantal Chippy Brown.
Yeah.
And what I think, when I look at the standings or the player stats and the rankings there, very interesting that in the top 5 receivers in touchdowns right now, 3 of them are females. You have Audrey Lajoie with Kiss My End Zone sitting at 5 TDs, leading all
Who
of
is
co-ed 1.
Amazing, by the way.
She's a stud. She is so good.
We've been talking about it offline because we both play with her, and she's awesome. She's great.
She's
incredibly talented.
Amazing. You have, as you mentioned, Chantal Chippy Brown, sitting with 4 TDs with the Vultures. And you do have Frédéric Daou, who had a great, I think like a breakout season, I would call it, in the winter with Easy Fun. Replicating that right now in the spring season.
I've been on her for a bit.
She's good, man.
Telling you a couple of years ago, like she's really good. And at the time, we just didn't really know who she was. I was just watching her with the ball in her hands. I was like, oh, no, she can play. And I'm glad to see she's actually getting the opportunity to showcase that. So that's awesome.
And especially like she's a vertical threat downfield. So like Jeremy White absolutely trusts her, and rightfully so, because 4 touchdowns on 7 receptions. That's some dangerous. Defenses definitely have to have an eye on Frederic Daou downfield. So the question here is, Pease, who are you taking as your wide receiver 1 between those 3 studs? You have Audrey Lajoie, like I said, Chantal Chippy Brown of Vultures, or Frederic Daou of Easy Fun.
So I don't like when you pose this kind of question when it involves a player who's essentially on my roster.
It's a sub, but yes.
Well, but yes, but she's got 3 games played, so like my guess would be she'll be playoff eligible by the end of the season. So it's Audrey Lajoie, Chantal Chippy Brown, and Frédéric Daou.
Yes.
While I really like the type of player Frédéric Daou is and the skill set she would bring to like my offense specifically, I can't go against Audrey Lajoie. Like her route running is incredible. Her understanding of how to create space, how to separate from a receiver, really good hands, breakaway speed, ability to make people miss flags. In the game that I played with her, she caught a drag and just left everyone in the dust. I saw in the game that I was watching you play, she went up the sideline, made like 3 people miss. So that's yes, with someone like Frederic has like great skill set for my offense. If you're asking like who I would choose personally, but at the same time, like, cool, this person fits the offense. This other person is one of the best players I've ever seen in my life. So like, I'm not overselling it at all. And I, again, we've talked about it off air, so I know you agree.
Yes, she's a stud. I'm telling you, like, and they all are. Honestly, I've also played with Chippy. Chippy's so good. I don't know
Chippy
offense
as well of the 3, so that's why my commentary was most on the other 2. But yeah, who would you put on my roster?
Oh, you would love Chippy. Chippy's she's a stud too, man. She's absolutely great. Great person too. Great in the huddle. She has that.
So you're cutting Audrey and you're replacing her with Chippy.
Your words, not mine.
No, not
your
literally
words.
not my words.
Your words. Literally your words.
I would never
not
do
mine.
That.
You would really love Chippy. Everything you said about Audrey Lajoie, you can replicate it, copy paste for Chippy. Great route running. She can make people miss.
The height of FPF. Like
man.
I've been here for 12,
it is
13, 14, whatever amount of years it's been since like 2011. Actually, there we go. That's how many years. So it's 13 years, and I'm telling you, the level of play across divisions is absolutely insane, and to see what the women have brought to FPF has been absolutely insane. It's mind-boggling to me that it took us this long to get to co-ed, and when we finally did, and to get to the women's league, and what they brought to the league is just like, you can see these are women who've played probably in high school, probably in CEGEP, like university, and it's like, oh yeah, you've been playing this sport that we picked up and in our adulthood. You have this in your blood since you were a child. You know what I mean? Like it's absolutely a cool experience to see where we're at. Again, whether it's Division E, whether it's 5v5, whether it's the highest divisions or the lowest divisions, like it's something to me that I can't. I remember, dude, back in the day, there were teams that were 4-1 teams. There were teams that were cover 2 teams. Like, that's how simple defenses were. There wasn't people stunting and jumping into the holes and like all the insane defensive adjustments we see today. Like, that didn't even exist. You know what I mean? And the quarterback play, despite that, has elevated. You know, it's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, the growth has been great, and the growth in co-ed 2 P's. Especially a division that you're playing in this season, and having faced Bolas Profundas, the Balls Deep franchise, going Spanish on us.
Oh, I get it now. I didn't understand that it was Balls.
Oh, come on. Oh, man. Come on.
I thought it was a reference to, like, I don't know, a restaurant or something. I know, it's because the players on the team, like, aren't specifically Hispanic or Spanish, so I was like, I don't know, is it a reference to something? Is it a movie that I'm too old to know, or a show I'm too old to know? And no, it's just Balls Deep.
Yep.
In Spanish.
The favorite, the best and most overused
team name in all of it. But at least, you know what? They get points for doing it in Spanish.
Yeah. The story with that, I believe in the winter season, a team took balls deep balls, whatever, and they already took their name. So they went and took the French version in the winter. They just went bal profond. So now they went Spanish. They went
It doesn't have to
Spanish.
be a literal translation either. Although it kind of makes it funnier. So
Yeah, exactly. So you faced off against them. I'm wondering, Pease, I'm seeing a lot of Koei 2 franchises that have, come and gone and stuck around. And I'm interested in your thoughts on which Koei 2 franchise has improved the most over the years. You again, like I said, you played this balls deep team. Is it maybe Fit Squad, Pig 6, Kamikaze?
Fit Squad's hard to say that they're improved because they've been at the top of the division for so long now.
Yes.
I look Pig 6,
but they're a returning team. That's why I mentioned them.
For sure. I wouldn't rank them as like if we're giving out like in the NBA the most improved player, like they're not getting it just because it's hard to improve on. You were one of the top teams. You're still one of the top teams. Cool.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with Bolas Profundas. The Bruno Provenche wasn't the quarterback before, right?
Yes, he was. He been the quarterback for like 3
he got
seasons.
A lot better.
Yes, he did. He for
honestly
sure did.
Truly impressed with him and the team in general. The one though, and the thing you mentioned, Pig 6, like Seth's my boy. I love the dude. He is probably the smartest football mind I know. And but that said, it's hard to replace Vincent Chung and everything he brings or brought to Pig 6, right? So Vince, who's playing out in China right now, balling out literally across the world. I just keep watching videos of him torching people like he did in FPF. Like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, bro, you're fast. We get it. But I would say that not necessarily that they're worse, but just like it's hard to say that you've improved when you lost such a key player. To me, it's the rookies. They came in, they looked disorganized, they looked like rookies, and I played them in week 2, and they, it was a fun game. It was one score the entire game, and they're good, dude. Like they did everything right. The quarterback whose name escapes me for a moment,
Cedric Morris.
Cedric Morris, yeah, he's really agile, and like at one point we had Alex Noel rushing him, who's great straight line speed, but Cedric Morris able to just continuously buy time, and that stresses your defense an insane amount, and it made them a misery for us. And I felt like Chris Rive saying on the bench, being like, "There's nothing I can do." You see these plays lasting forever, and you know how I play offense, Iggy, and how I just want to keep moving and I call my plays quick and I get out of the huddle. They took so long.
Molasses,
molasses. But it was the right move. Like it took me out of the game I wanted to play. They played the game at their pace for the most part, and I don't know a lot about Cedric Morales other than this was really the first time I saw him up close, other than just seeing him now and again at the field. And I was like, yo, this is a problem for other teams in this division. Absolutely. Because the skill set he brings kind of reminds me of Ben McMahon, where he could just move, break ankles, and has enough arm strength. Doesn't necessarily have the cannon of Ben, but has that ability to just continuously buy time and looks downfield continuously make a big play.
I cannot no longer hear peas. There we go. Never mind.
There we go. We lost each other, but we're now found.
We're back. We're back.
It's the best rom-com you can think of. It's like if Sleepless in Seattle had a child with When Harry Met Sally. That's what it's like to be reunited after losing audio with you for half a second.
That's a touching and telling story directly from the Peas' mouth. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Only you could do such magic and poetry.
I love those movies. They're great. They're both excellent. So
I agree. I agree with the rookies. I wouldn't say they were bad last season at all.
But there was some, or not last season, but they started last spring.
Yeah, last spring. Yeah.
And I felt there was a lot of disorganization, and there was promise for sure. But maybe when I had seen them,
maybe it was when you saw them, because I wouldn't categorize them as disorganized. There's definitely a lot of great players on the team. There still is.
Great players, but it was a lot of like miscommunications on the field.
Perhaps. Okay, perhaps.
And that not like unable to feel the roster level of
Right.
miscommunication. Like I just mean like a lot of blown coverages, plays that just didn't work on offense. Like that's corrected. They're just across the board. You don't have a matchup against them. You have to scheme because they win every matchup. They have a lot of great players and they're a good team. They won against us without Salvador, right? Like without one of their top players. Like they're good.
And without Edouard Leroux as well.
There you go. It's true, actually. It's a good point. There was neither of them were there, and it didn't matter because they were still like they're the deepest team I think in Coed.
Yes. That's the thing. They definitely have the best female talent out there in Coed 2. When you have Elodie Simoneau, Anne-Frédéric Tardif, and even Megan Trudel, very, very great players, two-way players. That's the key. When you can get great two-way players, male or female, and they have that with those female players, with Mazen Ouali and Cedric Maurice, it goes a long way. There's a reason why they're sitting at 3-0.
Because if you told me going into that game that they didn't have Edouard Leroux or Charles Verome, like that's a win. And no, the amount of pressure they were able to put on us all game long, despite that, was insane to me.
For sure. Team, a piece that we do know a lot about in Coed 3, La Secte are back.
Let's go.
They make their return.
Did they win their first game?
Did they? God damn it! This 3-year-old joke.
I apologize.
They're back in FPS.
I apologize to them because it's just a joke for our own benefit. Mo kept thinking they just won their first game, even after they had won several games in FPF. He kept celebrating their first win.
And he was doing it on purpose. Mo is not running a bit. They're sitting at 1-1 right now. They made a switch at quarterback. They have Nick Cataralos at QB and Alison Francillon going at wide receiver. Do you think that's the right chemistry move here for the team moving forward? How do you feel their season's going to play out?
I mean, Alison Francillon is the best athlete on the team. He should be.
Yep.
He should be at receiver, plain and simple.
Yeah,
that's where he's best used. So yeah, I think that's the best decision. And he's been sort of on and off at quarterback with this team sort of forever. So like, it's like I don't feel like he necessarily feels like he should be the quarterback of the team either. And Nick Careros has been great, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, not being as efficient as he could be with, completing under half of his passes and, completing 11 passes a game. But the big plays have been there, and they've one of every 2 completions is a touchdown, essentially. So that's awesome. If you can get that, sure.
Yes.
But maybe integrate some efficiency into your playbook as well.
Yeah, I mean, and he's running that based off of 2 interceptions as well. So if your interception gets you to the 5-yard line, your one pass becomes a touchdown. It's a 5-yard touchdown pass. So it's
But still,
if
that's two interceptions in
in 2 games.
Sorry,
in
2 games. But I'm saying that's probably 9 or 10 drives. So I mean, it's not it's not like it's the bulk of their situation either. They've played 1 in Niners. That's a tough loss. They played free agent squad, who are a team that's built for sort of put together to compete in the division.
Really?
So they don't have their. Aren't they?
Are you sure?
I don't. Just that's usually the moniker that we use. We shouldn't allow teams to call themselves free agent squad.
I'm playing a joke here. You don't remember? Yes. Now you
Ben
caught
Bodkin
on.
article about our team that was a free agent squad. Yeah,
about the returning squad of free agents. Yes.
Because I had, truth be told, I had my browser on the FPF page, so I couldn't see your face to know if you were being sarcastic or not. The visual cues are important.
Yes.
But no, in all honesty, watching, having seen the SEC play, it's cool to see them develop. And they took care of business. They played a new team. They beat the new team. They beat them soundly. That's what you have to do. And they did it. And so if they can do that, they'll be a mid-pack team and they have a chance in playoffs.
And like you said, they played a tough 1-9ers team and they kept that competitive. That was a 1 possession 25-18. So they didn't get, they didn't let up 44 points. They didn't get blown out 25-0. So I like where their team is going. If we quickly look at their schedule, I see a win over Gold Diggers, a win over Pookies, perhaps a loss against Michael Scott Stotts, maybe a tie at best. You're still looking at a 3-2 record so far. Panini Pressers, I'm not sure. I think they can get the victory there. That's a 4-2 record.
Great.
Panini Pressers, yeah. I thought for sure Charles Presser was on the team. I thought this was one of Niners. I thought it was Charles Presser.
These are my people. These are my people.
Yes, it's true.
So
What? What am I at? 5-2. Maybe a loss against Bandits. 5-3. A loss against Block Party. Now they're 5-3. Straw Hats a win. 6-3, and Bonzit, I'll go with a loss, but a 6-4 record in Code 3 for La Secte when this team was one win team, 2 wins.
They just won their first game.
There you go. They just won their first game, and they're looking. I'm predicting a 6-4 record.
Yeah,
here,
for sure.
For La Secte.
That's kind of what I saw, like somewhere between sort of 4-6, 6-4. Like that's great because that's enough to get you into playoffs, and it gets them the experience to advance.
Exactly. And then the other teams, when you look at Co-Ed 3 here, Peas, you have 4 teams that are sitting at with an undefeated record. Bonzit at 4-0, Block Party 3-0, and Michael Scott Sauce at 1-9 are both undefeated at 2-0 right now. Give me a team that is most likely to finish 10-0, and then the team that's most likely to make the finals out of these 4.
Nice. I'll do the sports radio thing where like I choose one to be most likely to go 10-0, but then the other one is going to be the one that I think makes the finals.
I tried to set you up and you caught me.
I like Block Party a lot. Rekka Super Zanium is essentially the best snapper in the division. Team also has Jessica Bustappen, who's just a ridiculous player. And Ivan Solomon, we've seen him play before. He's a guy who has basically, had some mixed results in FPF, but, he was 20 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Obviously, that was rough, back in spring 2023. But he's already at 3 games. He's already at 12 touchdowns, has yet to turn the ball over. He's completing a lot of his passes. His QBR is up. He's a really good athlete. Yeah. So there's just a lot going for them. So I think they're the most likely team to go 10-0. But because of the construct of the segment, I'm going to go with Bonzit to be the team most likely. I like Michael Scott's Tots, but there is a bit of to use the term from Jason Sudeikis' character in movie 43, they have a bit of the case of the fuck arounds. Like they kind of just mess around, and it's fine. Like I was talking to them, they would actually thought they actually do want to do a quarterback roulette team where the roulette wheel will choose the quarterback for the next game. So like they're down if we're down in the future. So
of course we're down.
You know what I mean? Like they're mostly a team having fun, although they are improving every season. And I got to see them play at Marie-Victorin week 2. I was super impressed with how much better Kenny Boutellier is a quarterback, and how much he can rely on the entire roster, and how good they've gotten. But Bonzit, to me, I think they have all the makings of a team that can make it to the finals. Xavier Perrin has been absolutely on fire. Defensively, Samuel Omonobo, who's going to be all over the script for the rest of the show. He is one of the best athletes in FPF, and just does everything well, whether it's quarterback, whether it's play defense. He's already got 7 interceptions, 3 of them going for pick sixes. Like, the dude is an insane athlete. They have Marie-Lou Guénon, who's a very, very reliable receiver. Justin Deschamps as well. Like, they have talent across the roster. To me, they're the best built team in the division.
Yeah,
so I did the thing.
I love it.
Trying to be a good teammate to you, Iggy. I love you. So I'm trying to
you.
be there for you, bud.
So stop giving me black eyes.
It
Yeah,
wasn't me.
I
It was
agree.
the door.
I agree. Bonzit looking very strong, building off a strong winter season. Coming in, starting off very hot here, 4-0, 200 points for, 43 points against. Just really obliterating teams. I like them not only to go 10-0, I like them to go all the way to the finals here. So one in the same for me. As
You
we,
ruined the construct. You're supposed to say the other team. You're supposed to say
it's fine.
Microsoft's thoughts.
It's okay. It's all
That's
right.
the way this show is supposed to work.
It's supposed to, but I choose otherwise. Peas will dive into the world of women's flag football,
Nice.
and we'll go in. We'll start with women's A, the creme de la creme, and I look at these statistics, and lo and behold, Sarah Parker leading the women's in passing yards
Yawn.
and TDs. However, 14 TDs, 7 INTs, a 2-to-1 ratio after 4 games. We're not looking at a 1-game sample size here. We're almost halfway through the season for Sub-Zero. And you see a 2-to-1 TD to INT ratio. Are you worried about Sarah Parker?
You know what else I see? I
What do you
see
see?
8 All-Stars. I see 3 championships. I see 5 individual awards for quarterback of the year. Look, dude, so the thing with Sarah is generally she's not someone who will throw a diminutive amount of interceptions. She's usually into double digits. It's a little high for her. Just a little high, but she's always at 12, 10,
10,
13, in
yeah.
that range. She's not going to be someone who goes 50 and 5. But
Yeah.
that's kind of the magic with Sarah Parker because she takes chances. She pushes the ball downfield. She's confident that her team has the ability on defense to be able to keep her in games. So she doesn't play scared. She doesn't play gun shy. It's at this point, Sub-Zero is in Montreal's finest territory. Sarah Parker's in Kevin Wyeth territory. Like these are just like it's the best of the best. Like cool. She had a bit of a rough start to the season. Can I see her end the season with like 12 interceptions despite starting with 7? Yeah. Can I see her end with 15 and still make it to the finals? Yeah. So like whatever. Am I concerned? The level I'm concerned, the percentage I'm concerned, 0.0.
Number of losses.
0.0.
What's the 0.0? 0.0 losses?
Yes. I'm just trying to tie it into the previous thing I said.
So, if we're not worried about Sub-Zero, they're in the number 1 seed very comfortably at 4-0. The race in women's A seems to be for the second place. Peas, if you're not familiar with the playoff breakdown, seeds 1 and 2 will face off in the first round, and the winner will go directly to the final. The loser of that game will go and face the winner of the 3v4 matchup. So that second seed is going to be very important for a team that wants to have the luxury of losing out in the first round and then still being alive. So who's that team for you that has the edge for the second seed? Cayenne, Matrix, or UQTR?
So I'll just start by saying that we've done this playoff bracket in Division A before, and it's really fun. Like it's one of the more interesting playoff brackets.
So Peas, we're Omar's gonna just fix you up here. Your audio's coming across a little strange. I'll give my point of view here. No, it's still terrible.
Okay,
I will. I'll give my viewpoints here. We talk about the Sarah Parker, the 7 interceptions. I believe 6 of them came at the hands of Cayenne. I think that defense on Cayenne is going to be very much a problem for the rest of the division, and it already has proven to be a problem for Sub-Zero. So look for that down the line, especially if these two teams face each other. And in Cayenne's case, hopefully in the 1 versus 2 matchup here. But Cayenne's defense is going to be not only a problem for Sub-Zero and Sarah Parker, going to be a problem for the Matrixes of the world and the UQTRs. Peas, how's the audio sounding on your end? No, it is still garbage. So yes, you will change the input. So yeah, so for me, the Cayenne defense, again, I'm gonna get the exact number, the number of turnovers that they produced, but not. It's not even just the turnovers. You look at one of the games, the morning game against Sub Zero. The six, you're limiting Sarah Parker and that Sub-Zero Olympic level roster to just 12 points. It's overs. And then in their first game Thursday night, where there was a lot of posts of and videos that our videographer Chris Rivet and his team were able to get 15-20. That again, in 2 games, combined 32 points that Sarah Parker's putting up. That is great defense here from Cayenne. So I really like them to be a number 2 seed. When you have Virginie Aubumenard with 3 interceptions, Tamara Boulanger with another 2, and Rosalie Landry, Laurence Caron, Annie Thiers Lagacé, and Lauriane Beauchamp adding 1 each. They're going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem for sure. And no, your audio is still crap. Just speak once and try, but I hear yeah, no, it's terrible. Right, Omar? It's bad, right? Omar, it's bad, right? Okay. Yeah. So no problem. We'll go. I'll continue on here just a little bit while Pease just gets his microphone fixed. We'll move on to women's B. Women's B, very interesting so far this season. And if again, we'll look at the player stats here in the women's division, women's B, and you look right away, and one of the eye-popping stats has to have, of course, be Marielle Paradis of Wolfpack. I mean, already with 40 receptions on 47 targets in 4 games, an absolute ridiculous number. To back that up, already a 500 yard receiving season for Marielle Paradis. These look like end of regular season numbers. 12 touchdowns, 508 on the receiving yards. She's definitely dominating on the receiving end. But then you look at the defensive stats. She's killing it defensively. 10 tackles, 6 interceptions, 9 PDs, two touchdowns already, 2 pick sixes. She is all over the field for Wolfpack. And my question for Pease, if he's back, if he's not, I will answer it. But Pease, if you hear me, Marielle Paradis, is she locked more for the Receiver of the Year award or for the two-way Player of the Year in your mind? Nope. He's just shrugging his shoulders. He doesn't know. So the way I see this, I think with Wolfpack, they have Maryse Paquette in the lineup there. That, if teams start defending Marielle Paradis, looking at the stats as strongly or just looking at the stats as casual viewers here or even invested viewers here on the show, they're gonna put their best defender on Marielle Paradis. So that's gonna open up things for Maryse Paquette underneath, over the top. So there's a potential chance for the cannibalization of offensive yards to go Maryse Paquette's way, and even other receivers on the Wolfpack. And so Marielle Paradis, you can see a chunk of the offense perhaps getting limited on her end. However, when you're looking on the defensive side of the ball, that's something that she has total control over, right? Somewhat. She doesn't have control of where the ball's going, but she has control over her own positioning on the field, her ability to track the ball when it is thrown in her direction, and playing an aggressive style of defense that she does. So I think she has a better chance for the two-way Player of the Year than actually locking down Receiver of the Year. Pease has left me alone. That is fine. He's probably just reconnecting. Yeah, not a problem, Omar the Oriole, just giving me some instructions here. He's going to come back. I'm not worried. I like Marielle Paradis a lock for two-way Player of the Year. Book it. It is May 30th. Let's look at, I believe, June 15th, June 16th as the final regular season. We'll come back and, Omar, clip this, please. Marielle Paradis for two-way Player of the Year. Uh, then just looking at week 4 as we conclude here week 3. If you look at the week 4 matchups in women's B, there's a lot of intriguing games here. You have Les Boys going against Le Petit Miette. This is going to be a rematch of week 2, where Le Petit Miette won that game 33-13. So you're going to have a potential, vengeance game from Les Boys. You have Red Nation facing off against Ibu. This game, in my opinion, it could change the tides for the entire season. Yes, Peas, you sound a lot better. Yes, and I can hear you. Yes. It is okay. It's even better than before. I hear you in both my... Well, I'm not sure I hear you in both ears, but that's fine. Oh, he wasn't even on. Okay, he was just talking to me. It sounded like...
Listen to the show?
Do you, though?
Cayenne is my answer.
No, Cayenne was like 5 minutes ago, Peace.
That was my answer.
Okay, Cayenne was your answer for the team to end up as the number 2 seed. I love it. If you quickly answer Marielle Paradis, is she a lock more for receiver of the year or two-way player of the year?
I didn't know that. Can you buy time for me for a second?
No, I cannot. So we're moving on because I already
dude.
answered the question. That's fine. Peas, the question now is...
There's just so many different factors when you consider, two-way player of the year, that the default answer to that's going to be receiver of the year.
Okay, my answer was two-way, so we have conflicting
you're
answers.
wrong.
Exactly.
And
But Peas, the most intriguing game in week 4 here, I was just breaking down the matchups for women's B. You have Les Boys having a rematch against Le Petit Miette of a week 2 rematch where Le Petit Miette won 33-13. You have Red Nation playing Ibu, and where, in my opinion, this game, the winner, could propel them to be atop of the leaderboard in the standings for the rest of the season, and perhaps the other one can trickle off into the sunset. And then you have Supernova versus Wildcats. You have a 2-0 team in Supernova going against an 0-2 team in Wildcats. Would that be a must-win for Wildcats? So what game is most intriguing for you?
There's no such thing as a must-win at 0-2. When you play 2 games, it's fine. You have time. 0-3, that starts to feel rough. 0-4, very difficult. But 0-2, I refuse to call it a must-win.
Okay.
Refuse.
All right, you're refusing. So what's the most intriguing game for you?
I don't know a lot about Les Boys, if I'm being honest. I know Le Petit Miette. Le Petit Miette are just sort of a relentless team. They just keep coming at you. And we saw that in the previous matchup when they faced off against Les Boys. And so, it's a question for the rematch if Les Boys will be better equipped to handle the passing attack, of course, of Morgan Cosimano Valois. But specifically in that game, it was Erica Roussel who created issues for them, but also Rachel Shea, right? So it's that 1-2 punch, whether it's Rachel Shea stretching the defense or Eric Roussel who punched in for 4 scores that game. You kind of want them to go down to their deeper options, so to speak. So I'm curious to see how the boys will adapt to that. I like the Wildcats matchup. I don't know if Supernova is a particularly good matchup for them. So Wildcats is a team I remember from last spring who sort of started slow and then picked up steam and then became sort of like a podcast favorite.
Different Wildcats team.
Wildcats. Then I don't know. I've been off for a year. So okay, let's do it this way then. What can you teach me about Wildcats? So what should I look for in that game?
So they should probably have you and I and Gab Champagne on the sidelines, and because he's the coach, it appears on the team picture. Have them really learn a lot of the basic concepts and just really start slow and work your way up, because it is a team that has not scored in their first 2 games. So it's definitely a learning ground for them. I agree in what you're saying, that a matchup against Supernova is going to be a tough one for them, one that's not in their favor. They're going to have a bit more fun when they're playing against A-Town, which is a little later on in their schedule, June 17th and July 16th. So they do get some better reps against some more equilibrium or more stable competition, ones that they can definitely compete in. So for me, the most intriguing game for me, though, is Red Nation versus Ibu. Like I said, I really think the winner of this game can take this team to the next level, because both of these teams, along with Supernova, I think are your favorites in the division. And I think, whether it's Red Nation beating Ibu or Ibu the other way, getting the best of Red Nation, I think that can, bring out even better confidence in the middle part of the schedule here. Ibu, of course, coming off a finals loss in Women's 2 in the winter season, so they do have pedigree, maybe a slightly trimmed down roster, and lost, the likes of Emily Papillon, superstar on the team, but definitely they have elements there to definitely work with. So for me, Red Nation versus Ibu can really not ride or die, but really take one team to high sights for a number 1 or number 2 seed, and the other team maybe dwindle a little for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and with as always, Red Nation comes down to the play of Alison Sobel, who's gotten better every season, right? So it's been absolutely a pleasure to watch her develop, and with now Gigi Caballo-Bante being on the team for the foreseeable future. I remember last spring she sort of came back from an injury, and of course they added at that time they added Kea Beckles, who's also a full-time player on the roster as well, right? So those are two obviously huge players to have on your team, along with, of course, the cast of characters that you would expect to be on a team, like Lemis Aljundi, Marilyn Cesar. Like they're good. They're good all across the board. And another big name who's not yet returned from injury is Rachel Valliere, right? So don't know when she'll be okay to play.
Think looking might test it out in the fall, probably not. So
okay, so she's
for
sort
a
of
winter
holding a roster spot. So she's holding a roster spot for they respect her, so she's still on the holding that.
Oh, she can't wait to come back.
Of course. I saw her the other day
wait.
at the field. I was hoping she'd actually be able to come back this season, but I guess it's a little early. So yeah, either way, it's still a stacked roster. It's still a good roster. It's a team that's always been led defense first. And so, yeah, that's the thing that makes it interesting, and how Hibu will handle that situation. And yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that being a compelling matchup for that reason too. So the only one that isn't is the Supernova matchup.
Jager Bombers, not Jager Bomb. That brings us to Division D here, Peace. Jager Bombers against Ball Hawks. A bit of a slow game.
Oh my God, it was dreadful.
Okay, let's just.
I was bored. Bored.
Unfiltered here. You were bored.
Yeah, it's okay. It happens.
Here?
Not all games are fun, man. There's a lot of games in FPF. They're not all good. When you watch the NFL, there's boring games there too, man. It happens. The thing is, it just honestly, both offenses kind of just sort of chugged along, and it was just nothing big happened for long stretches of the game. It was a lot of short passes. I think if you look at the team stats, the yards per play for Ball Hawks was 4, and the yards per play for Jager Bombers was 5.6. So do you argue with me that it was an interesting game now?
Sure.
So what's the argument? How was that an interesting game, Iggy?
Well, the fact that it was a one-score game means
okay, here's the thing. I believe, much like there are good movies and there are entertaining movies, and sometimes they're both. Sometimes good movies are entertaining, but I believe sometimes bad movies can be fun and entertaining, and good yes. movies can be boring, right? I think this game was close. I think sometimes close games are great games, but sometimes close games are not good games. That was the case here. This was just close. It was not entertaining.
Okay. I don't know. It sounds like you were there and you saw it.
I was there. Look, there's a lot of talent. The Mapenguara For Jaeger Bombers, Alex Bacalani in the fold. He was probably the most interesting part of the game. Thomas Lajoie, of course, catching 2 touchdowns and highly targeted by Felix Guichard-Lajoie. And then on the other side, Richie Mondezirs learning the position, but he's got a great cast of characters around him as well. It's a team of infinite snappers with Alexandre Blais and Evan Eli Nolet, the Oathbreaker himself. There's yeah, that's dude from years before your time.
It's I'm like, what is this?
It was fine. It's two teams. I think that they're either going to be sort of middling and middle of the pack, or they kind of find a point in the season where they turn around and we see what they're capable of, because the talent on the rosters are there. It just sort of felt, I don't know, like, when nothing's really working well and the game's just sort of sludging along, like that's kind of what it felt like.
I got you. So 2 middling teams, so nothing more, or what?
Well, again, I mean, that's so like if we look at range of outcomes, that's the low range, right? These are two teams that probably won't make a lot of noise, and they're just going to kind of be around and maybe make the playoffs. But the other side of it is, there's enough talent on both the teams that if they sort of turn the corner, they could be dangerous. And I kind of hope that for both teams, because again, the talent is there. It's just a question of finding ways to best use the talent that's on the field.
So, Jager Bombers sitting at 3-0 that I see
293
here.
combined yards, by the way. I want to say you and I have had games where we've thrown for 293 yards.
Yeah, I guess, but
so,
it's 150 each.
Yeah.
It's May. So the process, bit of an interesting team, of course, a returning team with Noah Groper at quarterback. They showed a very solid week 1 for them. They beat Hale Marty's. I thought this was potentially like a semifinal or finals matchup, two very good teams going at it. But their offense has sputtered in the last 2 weeks. Old Pats edged them out, and they've been turning the ball over quite a bit. Where do you feel this team is going? Like, why is the offense sputtered?
Old Pats are interesting. I've seen them play twice now. A couple of guys anyway from Buffalo Wild Wings that we would recognize. That game itself was odd because the process essentially had a really slow second half. So basically they go 4-and-out, and Julian Zbuck intercepts the pass to get the ball back for the process.
Jordan.
And then they go 4-and-out. And then Ariel, I think it was Ariel? Yeah, Ariel Liberati gets pick 6. And like that was the entire score for the process in the second half. Because they stopped being able to, the wheels kind of fell off a little bit in the second half. And like if you take away that one play, they kind of have nothing going for them in the second half at all. You know what I mean? They're just not able to move the ball. And like, to be honest, they kind of let Patriot or Old Pat, get away with that game. That's again, they're good, especially on defense, the Old Pats. But I've seen how talented the process are. They're a team I've loved from day one. It felt like, I don't know, just things weren't clicking that day, and it was just strange to see. Again, go 4-and-out, get a pick 6. You have all of the momentum, and then nothing comes of it. And then you get a pick 6, and it's like, all right, well, now no turning point. That was it. That was the game.
Yeah, in their previous game, it was definitely the rusher facing off against Noah Groper that absolutely gave him fits. Against Glow Gang, I'll pull it up in a sec. One of the scrambling abilities that Noah Groper keeps in his back pocket to try and gain first downs on like 4th and short, or bust loose for a 20-yard run is usually what keeps the offense and the drive alive. And he got sacked 4 times by Reynald Junior Jean. He was. This guy is a serious rusher.
Yeah, RJJ is legit. He's legit.
Oh man, he was all over the field, like 4th and 1, and like by inches he wouldn't let Noah Groper get the first down. So I felt like when Noah Groper is forced to stay and sit in the pocket and not use his legs to his best abilities to either buy time or scramble downfield for big gains, it really limited what the offense could do. And Glogang was just pouring on the points at one point, going on a 21-8 halftime lead, and they never looked back.
But that's the thing with Noah is he's a phenomenal athlete, but that's the next step of development as a quarterback. He stares down the rusher often, and especially on key downs, he knows he has his legs. But the thing is that like as you move up in FPF, Iggy, you'll speak to this. And look, I'm a guy who had a 20-yard run this week, so I mean I get it. I know how important it is to use your legs sometimes. I kid. I did have one, but I do kid. I don't think it's important to use your legs. As you move up, it's a skill set that it's good if you can buy time. It's good if you can throw on a run. It's not as important to run for first. Sure, if you can do it, if it's there, take it. But it needs to be the result of the play and not something you're planning for. And it feels with Noah, he plans for it, and then if it's not there, it's a sack because he's not looking downfield to make a play. And that's, again, I have nothing but respect for him because I think he's amazing. I think he's an amazing player, an incredible receiver, really good rusher. Quarterback who's shown competence. It's just he's right at that point where he just needs to get that next step.
Yeah, for sure. It's part of the development, but I think that's where the offense was sputtering, at least in game 2 of their spring season.
Mm-hmm.
We finish off Division D here with Cookie Monsters. They've been scoring a lot, but find themselves with a 1-2 record after a 1-point loss to Manny Bazogias, the well known here at FPF, and Melons. So, what do we think about Cookie Monsters here? They left them 2 plays, Melons did, late in the game, but that's a lot to ask for even a guy as talented as Charles Vero to suit up for them at quarterback.
Yeah, I think what was impressive there is Manny Bazogias took a 7-play drive, took as much of the game away from Cookie Monster as possible, and it's cool because I remember you guys talking about last season how Manny Bazogias is really developing as a quarterback, and this is like another aspect of the game is managing the situation, managing the clock, managing the game, and like I can see them scoring too early, giving the ball back to Melons in 5 plays, and then losing the game, going home, to Cookie Monsters, losing the game, and then going home and pulling your hair out because like how did we lose that game? We had it. Well, but managing the clock and understanding that the last 5 plays were untimed in FPF. That's a huge, huge, huge advantage to give a team additional plays. And to give 2 plays, it means either they can take 2 shots at the end zone, which not ideal, or they got to get to half field, and then they only have 1 shot to score, which is an incredibly difficult challenge for anyone. And Charles Vero was amazing, but like, okay, cool. Anyway, the best quarterbacks in FPF can't necessarily make that happen.
Yeah, it's low percentage. Yeah,
3 plays. Sure, because then again you get 2 chances at the end zone, right? But you can be Dan Lazara, you can be Iggy Magnets, you can be Kevin Wyeth. 2 plays is just it's at that point it's luck. You know what I mean? Like they know what they're defending, and you know what I mean. That's what it comes down to. Someone just has to make a play.
Yeah, 2 things. I wouldn't give Kevin Wyeth 2 plays. I give him no plays.
I mean, like if there's one person you don't, but I'm saying even for him, it's a difficult.
Yes.
For the most talented passers, it's a tall ask,
And then second thing, Manny Bazogias, of course, one of the a new descendant of the ever branching tree that is the Peas playbook.
The Church of the 12-Yard Hooks.
The Church, yes.
Of the 12-Yard Hooks.
I don't know.
We are a cult.
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. We had lengthy conversations. Phone call went into the 30-40 minute range of breaking down plays and stuff. So yeah,
that's awesome. I'm really happy because again, we do this to help teams, and again, if we didn't prove to you it worked before, this is another example of how it works because Manny has improved drastically, and it's not us taking credit because obviously he's the one executing the plays, and it's us just saying like these are things that work, and these are ways we can teach the game, and you can learn other plays based on these plays, and that's how you develop. That's all it is.
So yeah, and then a few more things. Coming back 19-0 at halftime to pull off a 26-25 comeback victory. Very impressive on his part.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, managing the game with late in the game instead of scoring too early. Left. You don't want to give Charles Vito 5 plays because he's definitely gonna score with that
Yeah,
amount.
that's a score. That's a score. If you give him 5 plays, it's likely a score.
Exactly. So he's definitely one of the, not just us, of course, he score keeps with FPF. So he sees, I find scorekeeping actually, Peas, this is why you never did it, but you should have, because you watch and learn so many of what people do right, but also the mistakes that teams make, and you see it firsthand, and it's actually helped me a lot when I was seeing. I'm like, oh, this is how you drive down the field. You just give 2-yard hooks and let your receivers do the work. Okay, I got it. So like, I really, you see the higher division teams and how they manage the game and how they run plays. It's a culmination of a lot of things, talking to different people, but also scorekeeping is a big help as
The
well.
problem for me, Iggy, with scorekeeping is the crippling ADD and the copious amounts of marijuana make it very difficult.
Yeah, the marijuana you can save it for after. The
Can
job
I
is
though?
easy.
Can I though?
The job is easy. The hardest thing is staying focused and concentrated for like 4 hours.
And you want me to do one of those things without the other.
You can just sit next to me and watch the games instead.
It's done. Tell me when you're at Mary Victoria. I'll hang out.
All right. Peas, one of the divisions with the most intriguing storylines I believe this season, and how could it not be Division A? Peas, very simple question for you, because the quarterback situation in Division A, of course, with Kevin Wyeth not being there and Joe Mayer obviously being the number one, it's a simple question: who's the second best quarterback right now in Division A?
I mean, I'm a Iggy Magnus fan, right? So
No,
the
it's not me.
expectation-
Stop it. It's
The
not me.
expectation is
It's very low. The expectation for me is very low. It's my first season in Div A. I'm playing with house money here. I'm throwing more picks than anyone, but I'm also scoring, so I'm not too worried.
Well, I mean, I think Jeff Rosenblatt bought himself the title of the best quarterback. Like, now he's going to get all the calls, right? Like, that's the way that works out. I'm
He's
kidding,
playing
of course.
terribly. He couldn't be playing worse.
I
football
imagine he has a lot in
right
his
now.
mind, to be fair.
I've thought about it. I'm like, why is he struggling so much? All right, he bought FPF.
Yeah. Which, by the way, congratulations, Jeff Rosenblatt, man. That's huge.
Congrats, Jeff.
That's just awesome.
Of course, yes. Thank you, Pease, for bringing it up. I brought it up too. But yes, the news.
Thank you,
has
Brent, for writing
officially-
the article before we were supposed to break the news to people. Brent Bodkin at maximum Brent Bodkin.
They caught Brent Bodkin caught everyone off guard, even the ex-owner and new owner. Yes, Jeff Rosenblatt. The rumors are no longer rumors. It is true. Jeff Rosenblatt is the new owner and president of FPF.
So I like what Jeans Alexi and Phil Cutler bring in terms of their ability to move and make plays on the move. And Phil Cutler is just an absolute gamer. But from my own sensibilities, you know I'm going to answer Stephen Harpersod, right?
Yeah.
But so Stephen Harpersod and Nick Schaefer. Nick Schaefer, to me, just
Nick Schaefer.
first time I played him-
for me, it's Nick Schaefer.
the first time I saw him play, I was like, okay, dude's got a cannon, doesn't really understand FPF. But when he figures it up, he's a Division I quarterback. And hey, look at it. He's a Division I quarterback, or Division A in this case. But essentially, like, he, to me, is the prototype, right? Like, if you were just picking dudes out of a lineup and saying, who do you think you're going to recruit to play quarterback, just based on body type, based on, sort of physicality, physical attributes, like it's Nick Schaefer, right? To me, what's amazing to me is that Stephen Harpersod is not that, right? And he just has the most impressive mind of anyone I've ever met. Not just about football, just in general. He's just an impressive dude all around, and so the way he's able to see the field and manipulate defenses, even at this division, that's the best I've ever seen. That's it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. For me though, it's just man, Nick Schaefer is just you like you said, the physical stature and the attributes, they're all there, and now he's putting it together. We saw a little bit of that of him putting it together in Division B and having a great Division B season last spring. My God, this Division 2 winter season and now in Division A, he's on another level. He's taken the next step when that next step is so hard to take. 15 TDs to 1 INT, one sack only.
Nobody doubted it, right? Like it's
No, I know,
it's
but
like,
now
it's just
he's
like
putting it all together.
you have the winning lottery ticket, you just don't know when the draw is. Like that's Nick Schaefer, right? Like you knew it was going to happen. It's just a question as to when. I remember it kind of like Dan Lazaro was like that too, to a degree, when he came up through the divisions, and it's like, okay, well, this guy's massively talented. He's gonna be amazing, and he is, right? So, yeah, if I had to answer, like I said, I love Stephen Harper's style and the way he plays the game, but it's hard to argue Nick Schaefer. I knew you were gonna go Nick, so I threw the Stephen, the curveball in there.
Peas, in Division A, we have a very key matchup here in coming up in Week 4.
Mm-hmm.
You have the 1-2 Wyeth's Rejects, losers of 2 straight, going up against KGP, the winless, and 0-3. Who needs the win more?
The team with the less wins. Yes.
I don't know. I mean, if
that's
if,
always the
if
answer.
KG,
It's a it's a mathematical question.
No, it's not, because if KGP wins, both teams will be sitting at 1-3, with KGP having the tiebreaker. So this is as equally important in my eyes to Wyeth's Rejects as it is for KGP to avoid going 0-4.
But also, if KGP are 0-4, they're 0-4.
Yes, yeah, I know, but that's what makes
if
it an interesting question.
They won't be 0-4. So therefore, mathematically, the answer is KGP.
But Peas, let's put it into context, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have Spearhead and KGP at 0-3, 2 veteran teams now that have played multiple seasons in Division A, whereas Wyeth's Rejects, first time in Division A. So, and there's one team that doesn't make it. So that, 2 teams that would be sitting at 1-3 with KGP having a tiebreaker over Wyeth's Rejects makes it potentially a very, very important game for Wyeth's Rejects to win.
Okay, but you're wrong. It's still more important for KGP. I'm not saying it's unimportant to Wyeth's Rejects.
Yes.
You want, sure, Iggy.
Yeah.
It's you guys. You guys need it more.
No, I'm just saying.
But you
I'm
need
just
it more than a team with less wins. So, like, what you're saying is, if somebody has $100 in their bank account, they need the money more than somebody who has $0 in their bank account.
No, because that's just one bank account. How much money is in the other bank accounts?
Listen, we're not here to talk about my finances. But that's what I'm saying. Like I get it, and I understand the construct of the question.
Yes.
And it's supposed to open
You
debate.
still think?
But
Yeah.
honestly,
you still think it's KGP?
man, starting a season 0-4 is dreadful. Like, you start to see morales drop. You start to see dudes maybe stay at the party they're at instead of showing up to the game. It's hard to say that the team with a win needs it more than the team with no wins. Plain and simple.
Let's throw this into the wrench. These 2 teams play each other twice in the regular season.
You know how precise you need to be to throw it into the wrench? The opening on a wrench is, I know it vary, but it's not a lot.
I'm pretty accurate. I
mean, 70%, dude, in Division A. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Also, like, if you count the 8 passes you threw to the other teams, then you just add to your accuracy.
Thank you. The teams play each other twice. I don't know. Does that change your opinion?
Depending on what happens. Because then the team with less wins at that point would need it more than the team.
No, I'm saying now, before you know about the first game 1 between these 2 teams, two games against each other, does it make game 1 more or less important for either team?
If anything, it makes the tiebreaker less important. And I don't want to be obstinate here, but
no, I agree.
Because you play it again, you can lose the tiebreaker and then nullify the
Exactly.
tiebreaker. So your argument is pointless.
No, I agree now, but
So
I didn't know I played them twice until
So
I looked at the schedule.
Based on no research, you're like, no, it's Wyeth's Rejects. And that's just that.
And then as I looked, I'm like, we play each other twice, so maybe it doesn't matter as much.
You're entirely
So
right. You're entirely right. KGP, they don't have any pressure on them. This is a nothing game for them. It's all the pressure's on YS Rejects because it's a bigger game for them, not the team with no wins.
Peas, what's wrong with Spearhead?
Well, we talked about it. Quarterback's distracted, man. He's got these big dealings. How do you expect him to focus on flag? Like I don't know, dude. Jeff, to me, I've said it in the past, but to me, I don't know that he's not the third or fourth best quarterback in FPF, right? Like, the fact that he sort of rose through the ranks from Division 6, not unlike you, Iggy, is kind of a testament to the system we've built in FPF, and it's really impressive, and he's really good at building a team of guys that work well for his style. Now, there's the James Drysdale question like we've had with other teams. I don't know if he's actually on the team or not, but he still has Anthony Brisebois. He still has guys with size like Sanderson Arma and Kenny Bay, and Jordan Panetta is kind of sort of this guy who can do a lot of different things. Again, I don't know, based on where we are in the season, I don't know if he's like a replacement for James Drysdale. I don't know if they're both on a team. If neither of them are going to be at all the games, that's the thing that's going to be difficult. And if we look at the results, okay, cool. You start the season off against the Braves. That's tough. Then you play your next game against Mangoose, and cool. You go from playing the best quarterback to the quarterback who's on an absolute tear, who, if you squint a little bit, kind of looks like Joe Meyer. Great. And then you go play Party Crashers. Well, no, this is the one, right? This is the one where they turn around. And here's the thing. If it's Division A, they've scored 24 points. They've scored 14 points. They scored 26 points. You run that simulation 100 times. Maybe 90 of those times, you're 0-3. At best, you're 1-2.
Yeah.
And they're just not scoring enough. You can say it's the defense and not what they're allowing, but the expectation in Division A is you're scoring a minimum 5 times a game.
Yeah. And in the game against Party Crashers Wednesday night in Laval, you're starting your first 2 drives with 0 points. And a pick 6. So and a pick 6 all the way from the opponent's 5-yard lines or 7-yard line or so. You're in the red zone. You're expecting to score. Instead, it goes all the way back against you. Despite I believe they were down 2 scores for much of this game, and at one point they held a 26-25 lead. And gave up a late score to Party Crashers, and were unable to go drive down the field and get enough first downs to continue the game and ended in. But again, it was due to a slow start, and the slow start, you could see it on the team by halftime. They were trying to pick themselves up, but the slow start to the game absolutely crushed Spearhead here.
Couple of things. I just want to start with the fact that I know it's not a live program, but I do have breaking news. And I don't know if we have a sounder for breaking news, but it's like, Iggy, can you give me breaking news music?
Da, 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 da.
Wait, James Bond?
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna go with the old Hot Sauce Sports breaking news. Terry, it's the news.
It is the news.
What's going on?
Well, I got this text from Mo, and it seems as though he's asking for permission because he says, "Let me sex."
Oh, God damn it. Okay, is that it?
Means. That's it. That's the breaking news. It's been broken.
All right.
Mo says let me sex. I don't know.
We'll
context.
On that note, we'll move to the newest and shiniest division in FPF. Go over to the 5-on-5.
There's your breaking news.
It's a little stingy and light.
It's been broken. It's been broken, dude. Mo's a real journalist. I don't know if you know this.
I wasn't sure about that.
Are you less sure now?
Yes, very, very much so. I look at the standings in 5v5. Peas, Diamond Bougie sitting at 2-1 and the number 2 seed after 3 games. It is awesome. They get an impressive victory over Party Crashers. What do we make about Diamond Bougie? They're a bit of that little bit of a young, unknown piece of the puzzle here in 5v5, sitting in the number 2 seed after 3 games. What do you think?
I'm going to answer your question with a question, even though it's improper. Is Jules Regenbald Nick Schaefer light?
Maybe for now. Maybe.
Like I
Perhaps.
feel like he's kind of got the same kind of thing going where it's like
Yep.
all of the talent. Like what
Yeah.
what God didn't give us, he took from both of us and gave to Jules Regenbald, right? Like just the amount of talent that dude has is absolutely insane, and he's just sort of like right there and just so close to like a turning point. And I think it's impressive to see him start the season so strong and see them start strong. And like you said, like you know, they beat KGP, they beat Party Crashers, they beat two of sort of like the long-standing, most reputable franchises in FPF, right? And Fred Dupuis improved his play over time, and obviously, Cutler, as we talked about, is an absolute gamer. I always say
Was
Cutler
bit of an
because I'm always
asterisk
scared of saying Jay
EP
Cutler.
one.
What?
Yes. And the KGP game was a bit of an asterisk. It was Joey Taylor throwing
Oh,
and not Phil Cutler.
Okay, so
And
just a Hall of
Joey
Fame
Taylor's
quarterback.
yes,
So-
a Hall of Fame quarterback that's
I mean-
not suited for 5v5. Remember, it's not 10
absolutely-
yards for
for
first
sure,
down.
for sure. That's the thing is that the same reason I don't want to play 5v5, I can imagine Joey struggles with 5v5 too.
Yeah.
It's not the game. It's not his game. It's
Yeah.
But the thing is
But
okay,
the Fred
still
Dupuis,
they still won against
Yes.
a really good team with a lot of confidence, and going toe to toe with Fred Dupuis, can be daunting for a quarterback working his way up through the divisions. I had a chance to talk to Marc-Andre Lapointe about 5v5 as we were chilling.
okay.
Sort of, my team was on defense, so my brain's checked off. I'm not doing anything. And Marc-Andre was just sort of chilling and watching our game. And he said that he found it really interesting because it is a different game in that the defense has a lot of opportunities, but there's if you're a precise quarterback, it really can provide a lot of opportunities for you as well. So he found it to be an interesting game that felt a lot different than FPF, like FPF, what it's been for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Obviously, it is FPF, right? But you know what I mean. From our flagship model,
Yeah, it's a very different game. Taking a sack is suicide. Incomplete passes have never been more detrimental. And if you have a rusher like Isaiah Allard, for example, on a 25-yard width field, takes a third of the field away for you. It's a very different game. If it really lends itself to quarterbacks who have great arms and deep cannon arms to stretch the field vertically, especially starting on your own 5-yard line. If you can hit a 45-yard bomb TD, that really stretches the defenses out, and then can open holes in the middle of the field. And it's a very much, I'd say, an athlete's game where speed, cannon arms are very important. And I think on the defensive side of the ball, having athletes very much and that's why it's such a surprising win and a very, very impressive win for Diamond Bougie is a team like Party Crashers on defense. The Party Crashers team have a set defense and a set offense. If you look at the defense, Ginzi Alexis, Jourdain Alexis, Zachary Alexis, François Hug rushing, and Vincent Cleroux, my God, it was a very daunting defense. Luckily for Diamond Bougie, they were able to suit up an equally powerful defense. Ryan McNally, Marvin Steinberg, Nathan Desjardins, and Gab Charles Champagne, with Manu on defense as well. So my God, it both sides of the ball very impressive, but definitely an impressive win for Diamond Bougie.
Yeah, no, it's cool to see. You and I have been fans of theirs from day one. So it's been cool to see. I'm shocked to see Flagma Slack at 1 and 2 so far.
Right. Yes.
Just to say, they're again a championship, FPF championship caliber team.
Well, that's it. That's actually the next question for you, Peas. Here is
I know,
which
dude,
team?
I was doing a transition for you. That's how you do it
know.
cleanly and don't make it obvious.
Yeah.
It's a transition.
So of the 1 and 2 teams, for you it's Flagma Sac. That's most shocking.
Absolutely.
It has to be.
It's
right?
most shocking, and you have to imagine that turns around, right? Like to only score. I know you talked about the Party Crashers defense, but to only score 8 points against them in a
It's
full
crazy.
FPF game, um, like there's I don't think there's a quarterback better suited to this game, the 5-on-5, than Alexander Hughes. Like the dude is always looking to push down the field. He has an absolute cannon, and there's no window that's too small for him, right? Like he can he's got the perfect balance of power and accuracy, and the fact that not only are they struggling, but like they got blown out. Okay, they beat the Jamesons because again we talked about Jeff Rosenblatt can't focus, and then they got crushed by Party Crashers, got crushed by Braves. That's unexpected. To lose games that way for Flagma Sac, they've always
Yeah.
been a team that just infuriate you because they never stop scoring.
Yeah.
They'll allow a ton of points, but they are
They
constant scoring.
outscore their they
they-
outscore their problems. Yeah.
So do you think they can adapt to 5v5, or is this a season long problem for them?
I think they can adapt, but they're gonna. I think you're seeing them go through the growing pains of that adaptation. They suit right back up against Party Crashers in week 4, this coming Sunday at Brossard. I think a team like KGP, they'll have a bit more success. They're a bit more physically imposing than KGP. And they play them actually back to back in weeks 4 and oddly week 7. So they get like a 3-week hiatus here from maybe to just soak in everything that they've consumed so far from 5v5, and then facing a bit of an easier and back half of the schedule with another team that's struggling to understand the format in Jameson's and see what's working. They'll face the high flying younglings in Diamond Bougie. Obviously, Braves is the class of 5v5, and then Royaume Luminaire, who are struggling themselves. So they face that last game of the season, even though it's all the way in July 15th. I think two teams that are struggling in Royaume and Flagmois. I think you're going to see a very different kind of game on July 15th than if they were playing today on May 30th.
Yeah, I can see it.
Division C, Peas, as Omar's not used to our long-winded content here. Usually the show.
I don't know how long
would've-
the show is supposed to be, by the way.
So we were supposed to start
got
at
no
7:30.
Yes.
With the show, well, we are the briefing. Don't worry.
Two issues arose.
I
One
know.
is my amazing son refused to eat, so I had to fuss with him a little more than usual. Usually he chugs down his bottle and is asleep faster than I would be after chugging down my bottle, but that was not the case. And then I had some audio issues that we
You
were
did.
finally able to resolve. So which continued during the show, so it's
Yes.
true. But how long do the shows normally run?
An hour and a half, max 2 hours.
What are we at?
I think we're at the 2 hour mark because
All right.
7:45 sounds roughly like when we start.
I did just look down at the script like, shit, 2 more divisions. Sorry, Omar. Love you, dude.
Yes. Yep. Division C, P's. We have some new teams joining the division, and I have 2 in particular, or maybe even 3 here. Some rising teams that are seeing a very early success so far this spring season. In fact, some have even undefeated starts to the season. I'm thinking Rico Riders, Les Petits Carottes, Win Diesel. Which team surprises you the most with their early season success? And are any of them the classic P's false kings?
I haven't done the research on the records, but
We'll do it in a sec.
I'm a big fan of Vin Diesel. As you know, Marcus Lynch is my boy. I think he might be one of the most talented players in the lower divisions. Like he's a dude who can absolutely play higher division. I do think that look, they played some decent teams already. They beat Friends with Danny, they beat Trinity, they beat the Commission. Those are all sort of long-standing FPF franchises.
Yep.
while they might not have all the same players, they are cores that have experience. And speaking of teams with some of the best players in the league, the with Danny part of Friends with Danny makes them absolutely typically one of the front runners. My guess would be, and the Pitsy Cat are another team that you and I have liked for a long time now. Rico Riders, I'm unconvinced.
Okay. Yeah.
I like pieces of it. Matthew Yanakoulias has got off to a hot start, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, putting up 54 against Killer Rays, beating up on Mengoose. Mengoose is a team, they're solid, but they're starting to they're basically I don't think they've reached the point where they've really established themselves as a Division C, Division 4 roster. Killer Rays is a team that keeps moving up through the divisions, so they're still figuring stuff out. The test is this week and the next week, and even dude, that's a rough patch. Rico Riders face West Island Boys, Win Diesel, never overtime. I think there's a chance they go 0-3 in the next 3 games.
I think they can beat Never
False
Overtime.
Kings. Never overtime are good.
But I agree with that. They're okay. They're okay.
Yeah, but so like I'm saying though, like that's the easiest matchup you have in your next 3 games, it's not fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
There's no cakewalk in there. There's no one who you can beat up on and rebuild your confidence after having 2 tough games. I think at best they leave that section of the schedule 1 and 2.
I think even they might have a good regular season record. Might even go 7-3, maybe 6-4. But I see False King written all over the schedule.
It's tough though because they have the Pizza Cat on the schedule. They have Win Diesel. They have again never overtime.
But that's it. These are not Division C staple teams like
Sure.
Win Diesel has beaten now. These are
But
teams
I'm saying
that
Win Diesel,
are
but Win
just,
Diesel's earned that by
Yes.
having beaten those teams, right? So like
that's what I'm saying.
So you have to consider them that way. So Rico Riders do face Win Diesel who are competing at that level. West Island Boys
right.
have shown that. Pitsy Cat, I guess they've been Division 5, but whatever. They were the best team in Division 5 for a while, right? So like, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't. For me, their only true Division C test on this schedule is it's actually tonight. It already happened. The game's already over. Rico Riders against West Island Boys. That is the only legitimate.
But
I don't know. That is the only legitimate Division C matchup.
But it's a disingenuous argument because you can't say on one hand Win Diesel's absolutely competing at the level and then say they're not that level of team, right? Like it's
yes, but they're to me like they just started in Division C. I would pick Win Diesel in that game, but never overtime.
This reminds me of my argument with Mo Khan about Vincent Benjamin when I said he's a Division A caliber player. And he's like, not yet. What do you mean not yet? Like he either is or isn't. Time doesn't change that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, they're good enough, dude. They are absolutely. They were a Division 4 team last season. They just weren't playing in Division 4.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but I still think experience, and we've talked about it on this show today, that experience matters, and that knowing how to manage a game.
I think it matters more in the playoffs than it does in
I agree, but that's what I'm saying. Like they need the reps. Every game's an experience and a learning one where you say, oh, that's what we should do next time we're faced in this same situation. I don't think they've played enough games. 50 games or so is not enough to be at that level. I think once you hit that 100 to 150 game mark, that's when you start going like, okay, now I really know what to do in almost every single scenario because I've been through it, I've seen it. I don't think they're there just yet. And then Rico Riders to play never overtime is like, it's a okay Division C team. Trinity lost to Mengoose, so I don't know. The verdict's not out on how good Trinity is. Team Ruthless doesn't have a win. Petit are just making the jump to Division C. Nighthawks are winless. And sorry, I didn't see Jagerbomb. Jagerbomb and West.
Yeah.
And West Island Boys are going to be the 2 toughest tests on the schedule for them.
Cool to see Jagerbomb back in FPF, by the way.
Absolutely. So, Peas, looking at quarterbacks of the year, and the quarterback strengths in Division C, three guys clearly at the top here. You have Brady O'Hanessian, 23 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 782 yards. You have your boy and my boy Will Power with fins up, 20 TDs, 1 INT, 714 yards.
Completing
Simone Duchesne,
81% of his passes, by the way.
great. Yes, by the way, yes. 76% for Brady, 81 for Will. And Simone Duchesne, as you love to call.
He's back, baby.
He's back, baby. 600 yards, 18 TDs, 1 INT, 74% completion percentage. All three guys, 130 QBRs and over. My God, what a tight race. What an absolute juggernaut start. Who wins?
Maybe
QB
I missed the name, but there's also Stephen Casey that's right there. And Stephen Casey is very, very good.
But it's not 18-1 after 3 games. It's 14-1. To me,
Sure.
a 4 touchdown gap after 3 games is huge.
But it's also the small sample size. So like just like, so if I just open up Stephen Casey's page for a sec, because I noticed this earlier today. So he's got 4 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, right? But if it's 5s and 6s the rest of the way, he's gonna be in that group, right? I don't know how you don't consider Will between the roster that fins up the completion percentage, Will's ability to stretch the field, Will's ability to move, his ability to read defenses is improving every season. Dude, man, like 137 QBR is insane.
Yeah.
I go that way. Although Brady, I'm not saying his last name, Simone Duchesne, I'm saying that last name. Yeah, they're right there too. It's splitting hairs. I don't love these arguments because in the end, like, it doesn't ultimately matter who's better by a little bit. But the level of Will's playing at is phenomenal. Like it's just really good, and he's one of the best players in FPF history. Like, in terms of his ability to do all the things he does. So, I mean, he's how many defensive players of the year, and he's a great receiver, and also now he's playing the hardest position and making it look easy. So cool. Great to be Will Power.
For me, when the race, and if you're talking about splitting hairs and the race is so close in the passing stats, we have the stats for it. I go and look at the converts, and I click on the extra points for 2, and Idaho Utah have 4 guys in the top 7 with in extra point 2s. You have 3 plus 2, 7, 9. 9 times 2, 18 points off of converts. And I'm not even looking at the 1-point converts because they don't go for it. But like, you have fins up with James, one record.
Fins up. Look, they destroyed Mengoose. They destroyed Air Laval. I don't think they're going for 2 often, right?
They should.
So I think that's but if you're winning by a ton, what's the point? Right, like,
because you should always be at this point, and by Div C, you should always be going for 2 now.
Look, you've converted me. I now agree with you, but at the same time, I can see, like, when you're up by 4 scores, like, go for 1. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
don't go for 1 because
I'm not arguing with you. I'm saying I can understand the logic.
I guess.
And like, so sure, but also, like, in one last game, Will has put up almost an identical stat line and is making it so that the other team is irrelevant. He's playing catch. 80% of his passes, dude. 80%.
Yeah, that's impressive.
That's insane.
Sure.
Like, that's again, we set the mark. Like, let's say in the mid divisions, you're looking at 65% completion percentage as being, like, that's for your competitive team.
Wild.
80% is huge. It's huge. And Will's ability to buy time and move and make people miss flags, like, I don't know. I look, we're both defending our boys, and so it is what it is. But I kind of wanted to be able to go to like a guy like Caparelli, because his improvement
he's
has been
great,
insane.
Yeah.
Or Simon Duchesne, who I'm happy is back in FPF, and I will continue to refuse to say his name properly. But, like, imagine you're Simon Duchesne, right? You get back to FPF. You put up 18 touchdowns and 1 interception, and it doesn't feel like you're in a race for
You're
quarterback of the
third
year.
best.
You're third best.
You're
You complete
third best.
75% of your passes. And like Michael Caparelli, like he probably has some rushing damage too. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
he does. Yes.
so it just makes it absolutely insane. Like that's what we talked about earlier in the show. The level of competition has just been ridiculous.
Peace. The 2-win teams in Division C. There's a few, but I want to go through the list and tell me who's a contender, who's a
Yeah.
pretender, and who's just kind of in the middle.
It's
So-
a long topic for 10 o'clock at night.
So just big fat bats. Pretender, contender, just in the middle.
Contender. Again, we talked about Caparelli already. Yeah, I'm a big fat bat fan.
Rico Riders.
False Kings.
Pacemakers. Jason Rossi back in Div C.
Middle. Jason Rossi is probably one of the best pure passers in the division, but I don't know if he has the
Has
horses.
regressed. Yeah.
No, but not only that, I just don't think the team is as strong as some of the other teams, you know? Like Fins
Fins
Up
Up.
is stacked. Fins Up is great. Like to me, they were a front runner before the season started.
So still that
Yeah, absolutely.
and blue dry.
I've liked them a lot since their first season, but verging towards pretenders. They're going to beat bad teams and lose to good teams. I like Yvan Desjardins a lot. I like a lot of their pieces, but man, look at that plus minus. Winning close games is some skill, but a lot of luck. The ball has to sort of bounce your way sometimes, and you have to get a call here and there. Their 2 wins are by a combined 5 points.
Yes. So just in you're saying
Leaning pretender.
You're leaning pretender. Okay, gotcha. And then friends with Danny sitting at 2-2.
Again, they have one of the best, like Will Power, one of the best players in FPF history, right? Does he still lead? Does Danny Damour still lead?
FPF on all times interceptions? Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what you're talking about when you look at that team. I will say that the average player on that roster is not him, which is normal. But I think they're about a middle pack team. I do like Jeremy Laplante. I do like Danny Damour, obviously. Team's good. Ryan Vanslet is a great addition to the team too. Like, it's just that I don't know. The top end of Division C seems stacked in a way I didn't know you could build teams that strong in Division C. Basically,
Yes, you can.
like they're clearly, because oh my god, like there are teams that when you line up against that would be absolutely daunting.
Yeah, I like the team. I'm gonna say they're middle of the pack, but on the verge of being a contender. I do like Jeremy Laplante, like you said, Danny Damour, obviously, Edouard Guimas, Anthony Moustache. These are nice
Great
depth
name.
pieces. If they're your third and
Anthony
fourth
Moustache
pieces,
is a great name.
yes, it is, and like. Not even because Ryan Vanslit's like could be your number one.
Yeah.
But he's Jeremy Laplante. Whether it's Jared Buck or Justin Gauthier has great chemistry with either one. Yes. What?
Yeah, I like there's times where Jared Buck, I feel, predetermines his read, and I feel like it's
Possibly.
the best of teams. That's going to be an issue. But they're good. Like again, I don't want to sound like I'm talking trash. Like again, you're asking me to split hairs, and they're one of the top teams in the division. So they probably middle of the pack, but probably a touch better.
The final division of the night, P's
Thank
Division B. Very interesting division here. We'll start with an interesting, request made by the infantry a few hours before their game. Oh yeah, you're still there and you're not frozen. Looking
Nice.
and opting to get a sub quarterback for them as Zach Stacy got sick at the last second.
But
and
Tyler McKenzie's on the team.
Tyler McKenzie.
No, not Tyler McKenzie. Sorry, I'm sorry, dude.
Tyler Stewart.
Tyler Stewart.
Tyler
Tyler
McKenzie.
I'm friends with Tyler. Like, I don't know why. We played together. I don't know.
I
Ty,
know.
I'm sorry, dude.
So they didn't
He's
find
been- I
a
played with him.
backup. Yeah, I know.
I
Div
played with him
6 though to Div B is a big jump.
Sure, he also wasn't a Div 6 quarterback. We were lucky to have him in Division 6. And he was impressive. Like, he fit the ball into tight windows in a way that surprised some of his receivers and like some of the balls were mishandled because they just didn't expect the ball to come into that. Like, they expected to be led in certain spots, and Ty just sort of fit it into a lot of tight holes. Ty has a tendency at times to sort of stare down the rush or try to move too quickly. And in Division B, it doesn't always work. But hey, man, he scored 5 times in Division B. That's a great game. That's a great and
He
like, can you even blame
18
a guy
of 34,
who started last minute?
245.
Yeah, and can you blame a dude who basically started last minute and the defense allowed 37 points? So, I mean, it's not on him, you know? So, great outing for him, and just impressive game all around, you know? Like, I think given that you have to replace your quarterback last minute, that's about as the best that you can expect.
And when you're going up against a defense with Ryan McNally, Janai Lewis, Charles Cossette, Mike Caparelli, and Nick Paletta, like when Nick Paletta's your DB5 and Luca Lecchese rushing you,
Yeah.
like this is a problem. So for like Luca to not have a sack, only throw 1 interception, it wasn't a pick 6 or anything. Like Tyler played a hell of a game. 18 of 34, 245 yards, 5 TDs. Like you got 1 convert, okay, but you matched the 1 convert that 1 stop got. Basically, it was 1 extra drive that Mike Caparelli was able to run in that was the difference in this game.
Yeah, Janai Lewis is not necessarily a familiar name to everyone in FPF, but he's amazing. He's really, really good. So, it's a great defense, and like, again, the windows were extremely tight, and I know that obviously there's a ton of talent on infantry. That's their thing, right? They're known for
He utilized that,
having just studs all across the field, and Ty put them in a great position. Tyler McKenzie. I don't know what the name is.
Yes,
Ty,
new name, baby, McKenzie.
I got nothing, Ty. I'm tired. That's all it is.
McKenzie Ty. Peace, question for you.
I'm sorry, dude.
Question for you. Alex Barros, the year in Division 3. Why am I going on Division C? I'm going Division 3, Division C. Alex Barros won Receiver of the Year in Division 3. Who's the most likely candidate in the receiving options here in Division B to dethrone Alex Barros for Receiver of the Year? You got options like Jerome Hovington with 7 TDs in 2 games, 190 yards. Yeah. Nicolas Curotte of Beer Belly, snap or a slot wide receiver, 5 TDs in 3 games with 215 yards. Charles Olivier Vachon, the infantry, 5 TDs, 150 in 4 games. What do you think?
I think, first of all, we'll see a surge from Roy Submergent at some point. He's the most highly targeted in that group, and that catch percentage is not going to stay that way. He's really good. I know he gets thrown a lot of balls that are a lower percentage because of his ability to go get the ball in the air. But I like him a lot. And I think Alex Barros might hold on to that, to be honest. Like, the 273 yards is real, also highly targeted. Jerome Hovington plays an offense where there's more targets that are spread around, kind of similar to Nicolas Curotte of Beer Belly Brigade. I think the target tree favors Roy Submergent and Alex Barros, so I think those are your 1 and 2 in any order you want.
Okay. I mean, I throw to Jerome.
More efficiency, right? Like, no, but I know your offense. Like, you're also not specifically targeting Jerome.
No, correct.
Like,
that's
he's your number 1, but it's cool that you have 5 guys you target at all times, and you rotate guys and whatever, right? So
yeah, exactly. It's just the numbers are impressive for Jerome right now. He's as many touchdowns as Barros.
Again,
100
it's not
less
like I'm
yards.
saying It's
Yeah.
not like I'm positioning
Oh
it as
no.
Jerome is trash.
Oh no. I know
I'm
that.
saying that it's just to me, it's volume over volume's more sustainable than
Yes.
efficiency.
Yeah. Um, Silent Ticklers off to a strange start to the season. Um, we'll just get them up here. They beat EZW last week without Jeremy White and then take a loss to them 35-26 this in week 3. Um, did we learn anything from their back-to-back with EZW? Of course, we know Jeremy White. Yes, he's good. We knew that.
That's what we learned. We
Anything
learned
else?
Jeremy White is good at flag football. That's the lesson we got from that. Look, I remember when Silent Ticklers registered in was it Division B or Division C a year or two ago, after being away from the league for a little bit, and it was sort of like you know, Jordan Panetta's too good for this division, and so on and so forth, and
Sounds
he
like
has
Div
been all
3
that.
last year. Yeah.
Div 3, that was it. Um, it's yeah, like I was on the bandwagon saying, yeah, he probably is probably too good for the division, and he was really good, and he's been really good since he's been back. But he also missed the game, so there's that thing. They play with Andrew Blevins at quarterback rather than
Yep.
having Jordan Panetta, and their only win is against backup quarterback. So that is something to consider. What we've also learned is Division 3, Division B. Division B is kind of like 3+, and for them to be 1 and 3 shows me that the level of play has sort of caught up. Where it's like, okay, like yes, at the time he was too good for the division, but now, man, there's a lot of really good teams in this division, a lot of good quarterbacks in this division, and it's surprising to see them at the record basically.
So for me, I mean, and it shouldn't come as a surprise, but it just shows you because he's obviously an amazing quarterback, but it shows you that the chemistry that him between the top trio, Adam Panetta, Dan Mancini, and Adam Rosen, of course,
Mhm.
both now injured and not on the team. So you
Yeah,
can definitely tell that like when these two receivers are not on the field for
especially
this
Adam
team,
Rosen. Adam Rosen brings him that vertical threat that
so does Mancini, and I think to an even
true,
greater
actually, yeah,
degree.
that's true.
It's there when all three of them are there. It's an unstoppable trio that many teams cannot defend, and it just shows you how important the three of them together are. That they're sitting at 1 and 3. I don't disagree with what you say. With what you said, Div B has become such a great level that if you don't something that you're really good at, then you're probably not going to win the game. And for
It kind
the
of
silent
reminds me.
ticklers, it's the 3.
It reminds me of when back in my snapping days when we had like Dan Lazara, Fred Morissette, Marco Masiotra all playing Division B, where guys were like 6-1, 7-1 touchdown interception ratios was the norm at the top of the division, and we're kind of at that spot again. We're just the quarterback play at this division, and the talent around these talented quarterbacks is massive. So it's it's not surprising in a sense because it's what we want, but definitely the division caught up where now with that they don't have their pieces, they're being exposed in that way.
Yeah, and the thing is, while the receivers are good, right? Brandon Vickers, Jack Antaki, Vincent Dagenet, Marty Friedman, Andrew Blevings. The thing is, the only guy that like can catch the Jordan Panetta Rockets is Andrew Blevings, right? Not that Noah Groper and Jack Antaki can't, but they can't make the same plays on the ball. They gotta like really secure the ball with their chest, even with whatever they can, and it slows them down for that half a second more. That allows the defender to get the flag and only pick up 10 to 12 yards instead of 18, 19, 20 yards and have those explosive plays. And you can see it when he's running his famous go on the first play of the game. He's overthrowing the receivers by like 5-6 yards. So usually where it's a touchdown to Mancini right on the lip of the goal line or even to the goal line. So really the chemistry there is huge. And not having those two guys is really going to be a tough ask for Silent Ticklers moving forward. All right, Peas, we're going to wrap up Division B here. Very simple. I just want you to rank the 2-0 teams. You got Bruins at 2-0, Kiss My In-Laws at 2-0, and One Stop at 2-0. Rank them 1, 2, 3.
I have a lot of static. I can barely hear you, Iggy.
Okay. Do I speak louder? Do you hear me?
No,
okay,
no. It wasn't a volume issue. It was you were a robot.
Oh, I got the
glad
robot
you've returned to
voice.
human form.
All right, no problem. For the last topic of the evening, P's very simple. Rank 1 through 3 the 2-0 teams. Bruins at 2-0, Kiss My In-Laws, and One Stop. Rank them 1, 2, 3. Who's your? We'll start at number 3. Number 3.
Well, now I got to make them 3 because I said they're from first. So Kiss My In-Laws are 3, even though they were going to be my 1. They're 3, and then One Stop, and then Bruins.
So
Bruins
is that
defense
reverse
has been
or?
insane, man.
Yes.
Bruins,
Yeah.
No. I listen, man. Once I said it, I'm not going back. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you gotta grow up. You gotta live with the decisions you make in life. You know.
So say it. Say who's 1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1. Say.
I did. Your team is trash.
Okay.
Just the worst. So 3. One Stop is second, and Bruins are first.
Okay. And why?
Who's
number
the
one
quarterback
thing
for Bruins, by the way, because I see Chris Riva is on the team, but he played one game, and Gab Champagne played.
he
the other
subbed
game
in.
at quarterback.
Yes, they're going with a rookie
who's
quarterback.
The typical starter?
They're going with a rookie quarterback for Division B, Gab Champagne.
So to be honest, when I said Bruins, Chris was the starter. But I stick with it. You know, you make a decision in life. You got to go. Look, Gab is he's Superman. So whatever, man, he can do everything.
He's
I
Michael
stick
Jordan.
with it.
He's Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Yes, dude. I've never seen a dude be who he is. Just it's not. It's kind of like the willpower thing. It's like, cool, the guy can do everything. That's great. You know. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he's really talented because he is. The defense on this team has been absolutely stately. I know they've only played 2 games, but 25 points against in 2 games is a big deal. And, look, they played Hateful Eight. Hateful Eight have gotten beat up on. Beer Belly Brigade are not that. They're a team that's competitive every season. And to see them struggle against Bruins just shows me that Bruins defense is legit.
Yep. All right, Peace. Thank you for coming back onto the show. It was always it was a pleasure. It was a fun time with you here, of course. Omar, want to thank you as well. Thanks for putting up with us for what was this 2 hours 15-minute show.
Well, but half an hour was technical issues. So.
Yes. Oh no. Well, if we're we're at 2:17 according to Omar the Oriole here. Yep, the Oriole. We had
Wait
Eagle.
Till
Wait till playoffs. Yes, I'm not sure who was on that show, but yes, he knows. He may know that one of them is going to be a long show. Pease, do you have any concluding parting words here for us?
This week was the passing of Bill Walton, and that affected me greatly. I don't get affected by celebrity death specifically, but that one got me in a way I didn't expect. As a dude who just was happy all the time, and he kind of formed a lot of how I see my life. And it was it hit me in a way I didn't expect. I guess I've also been dealing with some deaths and so on in my family, so maybe that's why. So Bill Walton, R.I.P. dude, you were amazing.
Thank you, Pease. And there's no magic words because I don't do that.
R.I.P. Bill Walton.
All right, good night. Good night, Pease.
Put the place up, yeah, we know what we made of. Can't get